Hello, my name is Maeve. I'm the champion for Avacol from the incipient Shire of Aresgard. The piece I have for today is by Madame Thisbe Alessandra Le Blanchette, a dear friend, an incredible bard, and used with her permission. The title of the piece is called Welcome Home. It was created from the experiences of finding the SCA for the first time, and specifically Thisbe's experiences re-experiencing for the first time through her little sister, and all of the joys and comfort that the SCA brings. I hope you enjoy it. I made it to sight, the sun was shining bright on a village straight out of my dreams. Stunning ladies and lords all in rainbows adorned dance from my mind into reality. Even thought I heard the wind whisper to me, welcome home. This is the SCA, glad that you found your way, whether near or far away, you belong here. Welcome home. The teachers were articulate and court was immaculate, the merchants' wares had me beguiled. I went so many places and saw so many faces, from stranger to friend in a short while. When an old man said with a wink and a smile, welcome home. This is the SCA, glad that you found your way, whether near or far away, you belong here. Welcome home. I watched the dance of the rapier, an arrow soar through the air. I threw an axe, closed my eyes to start praying. The bards took my breath away, swore I'd don armor someday, and from that moment, I knew I would be staying, because something deep inside me was saying, welcome home. This is the SCA, glad that you found your way, whether near or far away, you belong here. Welcome home. Thank you.
Will you hearken a while, for I must speak of Gareth, my brother, my teacher, my friend, of the youngest and best of the four brothers Orkney, but all stories come to an end. He inquired once, Gawain, will you do me a service? My friend here needs somewhere to stay. It was Brangwyn, the handmaid of princesses old. I had heard she'd been stolen away. Please, Gawain, keep her safe from all eyes, I implore you. I said, Gareth, what's this affair? For what business should knights keep young women in hiding? He cut off my words with a glare. Are we chivalry's legends? Read closely the tale. In the margins it shows if we thrive or we fail. Dear Gawain, eldest brother I prize and adore, you will learn that as knights we owe more. What might we hold if we hold the door open? What could we have if a haven we make? If we stand in need and we hold the door open, the might of our table won't break. The might of our table won't break. Brangwyn said, my Isolde is in love with a young man, but she was to marry a king. So her mother contrived to ensure this alliance. She took me under her wing. I would pour her a drink that would change Isolde's passion, make her husband king in her eyes. I refused to do wrong to a lady's consent. Then she seized me, ignoring my cries. A cold night in the woods might bring me to my senses, so I was left bound to a tree. Palamedes the Saracen came to my aid. He believed me and he set me free. Will you keep Gareth's promise that I won't be caught? Lady Brangwyn, forgive me, I'd given no thought. Sir Gawain, women all, be we servants or wives, should have sovereignty over our lives. What might we hold if we hold the door open? What could we choose with the choice freely ours? If we stand in trust and we hold the door open, our kingdom might shine like the stars. Our kingdom might shine like the stars. So I left her and sought after Sir Palamedes, who each man he faced he'd unseat. But no matter his valor, each tournament day would the Saracen end in defeat. Palamedes, I asked him when we were alone, have you been holding back from your best? He said, what of my color outshining these nights? Sir Gawain, that's a risk I'll not test. Many say that I'm pining for Princess Isolde, but it's Brangwyn who's captured my heart. She accepts me in fullness and gave me her word that my faith would not keep us apart. I said, good Palamedes, a fool have I been, for your chivalry's not in your faith or your skin. When he held Brangwyn close on the day they were wed, I remember the words that he said. What might we hold if we hold the door open? What is it worth if we value each soul? If we stand in truth and we hold the door open, our kingdom might truly be whole. Our kingdom might truly be whole. You recall, Gareth first came to Camelot nameless and served in the kitchen a year. You discovered his virtues and you gave him knighthood, but there's more I need you to hear. A few days before Yule, I approached him in private and said, there's a kinship I sense. I could swear you were Gwyneth, my sweet darling sister. What mean you behind this pretense? Oh, Gawain, hear me please, that is my name no longer, for lady nor lord strikes me true. But it's knighthood that calls me. If you keep my secret, then I'll be a brother to you. Thus at Pentecost next, our young knight won acclaim, for a place at the table round bore Gareth's name. Oh, we Orkneys, we kept this conspiracy fast, but he idolized you to the last. What might we hold if we hold the door open? What could we dream if we dreamed it for all? If we stand in pride and we hold the door open, our fellowship, how could it fall? Our fellowship, how could it fall? Some months back, Gareth said, keep your eye upon Mordred. He's stirring up fear and dissent. I responded, what mean you? He is our half-brother. How can you malign his intent? Brangwyn told me, Gawain, that he laid hands upon her, and when she declared she was wed, Mordred hinted this place knew its share of adultery. Queen might be caught in her bed. Have you heard how he whispers that Saracen blood is a blight with no place in our court? Gareth Mordred is king and the son of King Arthur. I've seen nothing like you report. You must heed me, Gawain. There are those who speak fair, but their words, they are venom, their questions a snare. They will rise up by fostering division and hate. Don't you see what's at risk if we wait? Who must we hold if we hold the door open? Who of our kind is unkind at the core? If we stand alert and we hold the door open, there are some we must show the door. There are some we must show the door. We arrive, Lancelot, the end of our story. But Gareth, he died at your hand. When you saved Guinevere, you saw not who her guard was, precisely as Mordred had planned. With his death, I fell prey to my grief and my fury, and Arthur I pledged him to war. Though I know you loved Gareth as dearly as I did, I could not forgive anymore. I helped Camelot fall as I sought you in combat. This wound may cost me my life. Palamedes at last gives the counsel I needed. Your brother sought justice, not strife. So I ask Lancelot, would you pledge Gareth's creed? Will you welcome the lost and defend those in need? Will you pass on this mission until your last breath, so our brother knight lives beyond death? What might we hold if we hold the door open? How could we live if we lived what we learned? If we stand in love and we hold the door open, could we see our kingdom returned? What might we hold if we hold the door open? How could the cost not be worth the reward? If we stand in hope and we hold the door open, there may come a day it's restored. There may come a day it's restored.
The moon rose yellow and bright that night, a night nay ne'er could forget. In Miles Cross woodland out of men's sight, long after the red sun had set, the oak and the ash and the thorn stood at hand. A light on the hillside it shone, as a host of the fairy rode unto the land, to hunt 'neath the moon till the dawn. To hunt 'neath the moon till the dawn. Long years before on the road by day, 'twas there a young man met a queen, with silver bells on her dappled grey, and clothed all in raiment of green. No sight in his eye save her beauty so rare, no wish in his heart but to serve, no thought in his mind for the maid young and fair, who'd sworn her love never would swerve. Ah, she swore her love never would swerve. Fair one, come be my man, the queen said, and stand ever by my side. He's kissed her lips all the cherry red, and off like the wind they did ride, through forest and field to a wide river bed, with blood flowing over its stones, through a canyon all paved with the souls of the dead, and the horses' hooves crunched on the bones. Ah, the horses' hooves crunched on the bones. The youth dwelt under the fairy hill, while outside the years swiftly flew. He's ate their meat and he's learned their skill, and elfin like them he soon grew. While back in his homeland that lass could not say just wherefore her love ne'er returned, and what came of each other from that to this day, nor she nor he ever has learned. But the tithe came each 7th year, when the devil collected 12 of their best, and the queen hid her knight for fear that the fiend would select him of all the rest. So 1 year under moon yellow bright, when hunting the fairy did range, it came to pass that an earthly knight rode out with that company strange, and quarry he met there more sporting than game, the fairest doe in all the wood, from Carterhaugh Castle, sweet Janet by name, and love struck him there where he stood. Ah, true love struck him there where he stood. Where do ye gang and whence do ye bide? He asked of the beauteous maid. What do ye here on midsummer's tide, when safe at home ye would be laid? My father is laid over Carterhaugh keep, and ye are no one of his men. But give me safe passage, and I'll never speak, nor tell him of thee and thy friends. Ah, I'll not tell him of thee and thy friends. I know thy face as I know thy name, my Nan told me when I was young. How long she cried for her handsome swain, when nane knew where he had gone. She waited a year and a month and a day, forsaking the aid of her kin. She swore that the fair folk had stolen him away, by book and rood thou art Tamlin. Ah, Christ's blood, I hide thee, Tamlin. He stroked her cheeks o'er the rosy sheen, and kissed her thrice times 3. And she has kilted her kirtle green, a little below the knee. And all of that summer through nights long and wild, the lovers met by the old well, till the night Janet came to him heavy with child, and his secret to her he did tell. Oh, the tithe comes each 7th year, and the queen hates me now that her love I spurn. Hallows Eve shall be my last, I fear. Sure she'll send me to hell for aye to burn. Ye mun no leave me, sweet Janet said, Tamlin, 'tis your son I bear. These nights I've loved thee and shared thy bed. O Carter, I would forswear, if it meant I could keep thee and bring thee safe back, I'd walk all the night and the day. I would break every bond, and hell's gates I would crack. Speak love, for there mun be a way. Oh, win me well thou might, at Miles Cross outside the town. There wait for the stallion of purest white, that follows the black and the brown. Ye mun pull down the rider and hold to him fast, no matter what he may become. When my form and face change to myself, then at last I'll be free to follow thee home. But first she'll turn me in thine arms to adder and lion and bear. Then to a brand, but fear ye no harm, and throw me into the well there. When naked I lie and as meek as can be, then cover me out of men's sight. Wrap me up in thy mantle, and then ye mun see, once more I'll be an earthly knight. Ah, oh, love, to be an earthly knight. And she has kilted her kirtle green, a little aboon the knee. And she's hid from the fairy and all their queen behind the stout rowan tree. The oak and the ash and the thorn stood at hand as the column rode under the moon. Janet waited and watched for the knights in that band, praying he'd come to her soon. For the tithe came that 7th year, when on Salmon the devil did ope his gate, and her bairn kicked and felt her fear, as Tamlin he rode slowly to his fate. The brown came first, and next came the black, and last came the stallion of snow. But quick she ran to that high steed's back, and recalled what he'd begged her to do. Oh, Jenny, sweet Jenny, come save your poor knight. Don't let me descend to the beast. Pull me down from my steed, hold with all till my transformations have ceased. Till my transformations have ceased. Sometime a hare, and sometime a hound, sometime a snake he became. Sometime hot iron, but she held him bound, till he turned to a brand all aflame. Then she ducked him in well, and she drew out her prize, as naked and weak as a lamb. With her mantle she covered him from others' eyes. Said the queen, take him then, and be damned, for the tithe comes each 7th year, and soon enough your bairn shall be a man. So think well, for what I have lost here, I shall soon revenge, as in time I can. So when the moon rises yellow bright, all ye who round Carter abide, take care, for if it is Hannah's night, 'tis certain the fairy folk ride. The oak and the ash and the thorn silent stand, no beast ventures out on that day, and Janet keeps husband and son close to hand, for fear of the fiend and the fae. For fear of the fiend and the fae. Thank you.
Yoroshkune, my name is Miura Suzume. I hail from the Kingdom of Trimaris, and I will be performing an original composition by the name of Warrior Bard. I once met a man full of mischief and guile, with a voice like a church bell's bright peal. His rapier it danced with an elegant grace, and his poetry cut like cold steel. I asked of him which did he prize most of all, did his voice or his sword rule his heart? He said, ask me to choose twixt my right hand or left, of the two from which one would you part? For I am that voice that leaps forth without fear, bringing laughter or beauty or pain. And I am that voice full of withering wit, with a tongue just as sharp as my blade. And I am that voice that you hear on the field, raised in hope, though the battle be hard. And I am the one who will dance for you always. I am a warrior bard. I once met a woman with steel in her heart, and a voice like a thundering storm. She fought like a hellion, she held fast the line, and her songs were pure strength given form. I asked of her which did she prize most of all, did her voice or her sword rule her heart? She said, both are my weapons, I wield them with pride, and each one holds its place in my art. For I am that voice at the first light of dawn, calling all of our fellows to arms. And I am that voice ringing out midst the fray, as my shield arm protects you from harm. And I am that voice that you hear on the field, raised in hope, though the battle be hard. And I am the one who will stand by you always. I am a warrior bard. I once met a man, his eyes clouded with time, but his voice like a beacon of light. He cracked out commands with a clarity fierce, and his melodies shone with his might. I asked of him which did he prize most of all, did his voice or his sword rule his heart? He said, know you your tools and consider your foe. I have found both firm friends 'gainst the dark. For I am that voice calling out from the night, guiding bone-weary travelers to rest. And I am that voice warm and bright as the fire, coaxing others to blaze at their best. And I am that voice that you hear on the field, raised in hope, though the battle be hard. And I am the one who will welcome you always. I am a warrior bard. I questioned myself and my own humble voice. Next to them, what could I hope to be? Their courage, conviction, their honor and grace. How could I stand in their company? But my fight is my own, and my foes just as fierce, my weapons as cunning and sharp. I march to the tune of their joyous refrain, and their echoes resound in my heart. Now I am that voice adding links to the chain that connects every story and song. And I am that voice that continues the tale, so that none go forgotten for long. And we are the voices you hear on the field, raised in hope, though the battle be hard. And we are the ones who will sing for you always. We are the ones who will encourage you always. We are the ones who will welcome you always. We are the warrior bards. Yes, we are all warrior bards. Now come, be a warrior bard.
I stood upon the battlefield, a girl amongst her brothers, left arm bracing 'gainst my shield, my sword grasped in the other. My heart was pounding hard as hell, my breath was puffing warmly, yet all the while I stood stark still, with shields that shook an army. My braids hold tight my long dark hair, my helm fits me most firmly. My armor's weight I gladly bear along this warrior's journey. When all at once a ragged yell breaks out from all around me, now comes the part I know so well. Brace shields to guard an army. From through the mists I see the forms, 500 foe approaching. Fear not these spindling tiny worms, their taunt comes in reproaching. The charge comes down upon us hard, the enemy lines come swarming, through thundering, crashing, roaring charge. Our shields hold back an army. One brother falls upon my left, a hole in our defenses. We step together in a shift, no time for grieving senses. As heightened battle rages peak, and long we meet the frenzy, our fury holds the line complete. Strong shields defend this army. Blow by blow we stand our ground. No spearman can disarm us. My strength makes my brothers proud. The battle fevers bound us. Valhalla's gates will open wide for all who fall too early. Their horns of mead they'll raise with pride. My shield stood with their army.
Greetings, good gentles. I am Amanda Dispenser, and I hail from the kingdom of Artemisia, and as a part of the Western Alliance, I am proud to come to you today to present a song that I have written. Now, many years ago, I heard a song called The Veil by Master Gareth. Now, in the song The Veil, the young warrior heads off after receiving a promise of unfailing love from his true love. And after 10 years and many glories won by him, he returns to find her married and a housewife. And he returns to the wars with a feeling of sadness, but still dreaming of the girl he left behind. It always seemed to me that that was not the whole story, and that there was more that needed to be told. So, using Master Gareth's song, I have written an answer called The Promise. I was but 15, his arms pressed about me. Tears stained my face as I tried to be brave. My veil in his hand, his sword wrapped about him. To go serve the king, this promise I gave. I said, come back to me, though the whole world you travel. Win through each day and do honor for me. And let every victory you claim be a token. Return to my arms, your true love I will be. But after 6 weeks, black news came of battle. His ship bravely fought, yet were all lost at sea. Through my pain and my rage, I wanted to join him, but I knew by then that his child was in me. My parents, they found a man who was willing, a widower tradesman who would have me. A wife I became, he treated me kindly, but we both knew my heart was lost in the sea. I'd said, come back to me, but by the sea you'd been taken. So I must live as you'd want me to be, and rise up each day, my life now the token that honors my true love and his memory. My husband, he watched me grieve for my true love. My tears he dried as I cried in the night. I dreamt my love armored, all covered in glory, and woke up each morning to fight my own fight. Children they came, his son and 2 others. My husband he cherished each one of the 3. Together we built a home and a family, but each action of mine was for his memory. I'd said, come back to me, but by the sea he'd been taken. So I must live as he'd want me to be, and rise up each day, this life now the token that honors my true love and his memory. His son daily grows so much like his father. His eyes now the blue of the wide open sea, so tall and so strong, already a warrior, each breath of his life is my love's victory. 10 years they passed, 'tween one breath and another, still I watch soldiers come home from the war. One day, from a dream, a face I remembered, a belted commander, he strode toward my door. I'd said, come back to me, though the whole world you travel, win through each day and do honor for me, and let every victory you claim be a token. Return to my arms, your true love I will be. I'd said, come back to me, but by the sea you'd been taken. So I have lived as you'd want me to be, and rose up each day, my life now the token that honored my true love and his memory. I stood there a daze, my world turned asunder, my true love alive I could not understand. But what could I say? My world there around me, he held my veil and I held his son's hand. We invited him in to share in our supper. Could he see my love in each corner and wall? He told us of victories he'd won for his lady. Like jewels I'll hold them and treasure them all. He departed that day, leaving gifts for the children. I do not know if he knew his own son. He's back to the wars for another adventure, but as for my heart, a new life has begun. I'd said, come back to me, but by the sea he'd been taken. So I have lived as he'd want me to be, and rose up each day, my life as the token that honored my true love and his memory. And seeing him live, it set my heart free.
Greetings, my name is Lady Rowan of Murrow, and I am the current Kingdom Bard of Meridies. It is my honor to bring to you The Passing of the Crown by Truly Carmichael, with adapted lyrics in the first verse, done by the original artist for Their Majesty's coronation.
Oh, behold, the bright argent trinity blaze on sable that stands for our fair Meridies. As I sing of the stories and the legends handed down, now I sing from my soul of the passing of the crown. Now stands a sword with no hand on its hilt. Now blooms a rose that will never fade or wilt. Now walks a knight to his own lady fair. Now lies a crown on a throne that is bare. And so they go as their fathers before, she who inspired and he who led in war. As they add to our lineage, we all gather round to honor in silence the passing of the crown. Now stands a sword with no hand on its hilt. Now blooms a rose that will never fade or wilt. Now walks a knight to his own lady fair. Now lies a crown on a throne that is bare. Now lies a crown on a throne that is bare. sang. It's been 5 years since I've seen her pretty face. She's deserts and oceans away. The crops are coming in this time of year, and the trees are in full bloom. And I just hope that she's holding on still, waiting for me to come home. Just waiting for me to come home. Tonight I am counting the stars, making constellations of my own. I look upon my brothers who have all lost their faith, crusaders, lost souls, and alone. I'd hoped to have a farm and a family by now, bouncing babes of my own. Baby girl on my knee and a few sons or 3, waiting for me to come home. Just waiting for me to come home. Tonight the stars are ablaze as fire rains down from the sky. We swore to stand brave, swore to fight to the grave, and we fear we won't make it alive. I hear the soldiers whisper, I hear my brothers pray, some from the Bible and some from the heart, and some sing the songs that their forefathers bear, hoping that they'll make it home. Just hoping that they'll make it home. Tonight I am praying to the stars, hoping my love does the same. It's been 10 years since I've seen her pretty face. She's deserts and oceans away. She's deserts and oceans away. She's deserts and oceans away. What is thine some hate? Vad skall jag glädjen finna bland sår som ingen vet? Skall minnet där försvinna, en börda tung som sten, mig möter vart jag går. Bland tusen finns knappt en som kärlek rätt förstår. Emellan dig och mig, där tändes upp en låga, där tändes upp en eld, som är en daglig plåga. Hur jag skall dämpa den, vet jag alls ingen råd. Jag sörjer till min död, om jag dig ej kan rå. North Shield's honor ducere. With these hands which till the field and sow, these hands provide so it will grow, and these hands they serve to bring to birth this beautiful dream upon the earth. My voice it speaks to power with breath and teeth and tongue, and by it marks the hour each truth that I have sung, to manifest a future blessed with love in all we do. Together we can make this vision true. With these hands which till the field and sow, these hands provide so it will grow, and these hands they serve to bring to birth this beautiful dream upon the earth. In our youth we dreamt of freedom, we toiled to make it true. Our knowledge, strength, and wisdom expanding as we grew. We made a place with joy and grace where all are welcome home, and lead the way to set the dream in stone. With these hands which till the field and sow, these hands provide so it will grow, and these hands they serve to bring to birth this beautiful dream upon the earth. As we look into the future, think what more can we do to keep the dream and nurture our young to dream anew, to lead the way into the fray. Dreamers rise and start the day, to serve for North Shield's honor ducere. With these hands which till the field and sow, these hands provide so it will grow, and these hands they serve to bring to birth this beautiful dream upon the earth.
My name is Honor von Atzinger, and this is Inguistissimo Mo Amor. Industissimo amor, industissimo amor, perché si raro, perché si raro, corrispondenti fai nostri desideri.
In the mountain provinces of Lydia lived a woman named Arachne. She was the daughter of Idmon, a famous dyer of wools. Like her father, Arachne was gifted in the arts of fiber crafts. Her woven works were so renowned that people far and wide sought her work. Nymphs would leave their mountains, rivers, and trees to watch her weave. But as she grew in talent, so too did she grow in pride. Many would remark that Arachne's talents were a gift from the gods, only to be chastised by the young woman. She even went as far to say that her works were superior to the goddess Athena. Word of this boast whispered along the winds up to Mount Olympus, to Athena's ear. As an Olympian, Athena could not let this go unchallenged. So she left Mount Olympus disguised as an old woman to see who would be so boastful. As the goddess approached where Arachne worked, a crowd had already formed to watch the young woman weave. An onlooker new to the area commented how Arachne's hands were blessed by the gods. The crowds backed away from the onlooker as Arachne again began to berate the poor person. "My skill is mine and mine alone," she exclaimed. "The gods did not bless me with my gifts. In fact, my skill is better than Athena herself." It was then that Athena, still disguised as an old woman, approached. "Young one," the goddess said gently, "all gifts are a blessing from the gods, and to speak so harshly may invite chastisement from them. Recant your words, and you can avoid a fate that has befallen others whose pride has brought down Olympus's ire." Arachne scoffed at the old woman. "Foolish crone, I will do no such thing. In fact, if the goddess Athena were here before me, I would tell her my work is superior and weave to prove it." "So asked, and so granted, mortal," Athena exclaimed as she cast off her disguise. There she was, the goddess, standing between the assembled hosts and Arachne. "Upon the morrow, we shall see who is the better weaver." Dawn broke the next day, and both mortal and goddess stood before their looms with crowds gathered to watch the contest between the two. As Helios drew his bright chariot across the sky, both worked quickly at their looms, shuttles swiftly moving back and forth amongst the threads. Those threads soon gave way to color, which gave way to shape and form, which then became images on the cloth. And as the day began to give itself to dusk, both finished their works. Athena's work was first to be seen by the crowd. It was beautiful and flawless in its execution. It featured prominently those mortals whose acts of hubris caught the eyes of the gods. Thracian king and queen turned to mountains after proclaiming themselves Zeus and Hera on earth. The pygmy queen and Trojan princess, who claimed their beauty superior to Hera, turned into a crane and hair turned to snakes, respectively. Theban queen, whose family was slain and turned into a weeping stone for attempting to place herself above the Titaness Leto. The crowd applauded Athena's work and then went to judge Arachne's piece. Like Athena's, Arachne's was both beautiful and flawless, but where the goddess served as a warning, the mortals exploited the indiscretions of Zeus. One image showed the king of the gods as a white bull stealing away a Europa across the ocean. Another of Zeus as a white swan seducing the Spartan queen Leda. Again, Zeus disguised as Alcmene's husband Amphitryon in her bed. Lastly, as a golden rain shower surrounding the trapped Danae. When Athena saw her work, her eyes lit with rage. She turned to Arachne and chastised the young woman. "Your work is beautiful, I will grant you that, but it is also cruel. This is my family, and what it leaves out is my father sired kings and heroes who are admired by both gods and mortals alike. His children are my brothers and sisters. Zeus made Europa queen of Crete, and her sons became kings and heroes by their own right. Leda birthed Castor and Pollux, who sailed with Jason on the Argo. Hercules and Perseus are both held up as heroic pinnacles among you mortals. How dare you besmirch that legacy?" But as chastisement went on, Arachne looked amongst the crowd as they whispered and murmured amongst each other. It was then she realized the error of her way. Pride had become her downfall, and without Athena's favor, none would want her work. "What have I done?" she whispered, tears flowing down her cheeks. With that, she snatched up the skeins of thread that were left and ran. As swift as she wove, the threads became string, which became a rope, which became a noose around her neck, which wrapped around the limb of a tree, ending her life. The crowd was helpless and in shock. stood in silence at what had transpired. Athena, with a single tear down her cheek, cried, "Foolish child! This is not what I wanted. I only sought to teach you a lesson in humility." And with that, Athena took down Arachne's lifeless body, and in her arms she whispered, "Your works shall still live on through you and through your generations to come." Arachne's body began to shrink. Limbs grew from her sides as her hair receded and her abdomen swelled. When the transformation was complete, Arachne awoke as the world's first spider, continuing to weave beautiful silken tapestries.
Settle thy studies, Faustus, and begin to sound the depth of that thou wilt profess. Having commenced, be a divine in show, yet level at the end of every art, and live and die in Aristotle's works. Sweet analytics, 'tis thou hast ravished me. Bene dicere et finis logices. Is to dispute well logic's chiefest end? Affords this art no greater miracle? Then read no more. Thou hast attained that end. A greater subject fitteth Faustus' wit. Bid economy farewell, and Galen come. Seeing, ubi desinit philosophus, ibi incipit medicus. Be a physician, Faustus. Heap up gold and be eternized for some wondrous cure. Summum bonum medicinae sanitas. The end of physic is our body's health. Why, Faustus, hast thou not attained that end? Is not thy common talk found aphorisms? Are not thy bills hung up as monuments, whereby whole cities have escaped the plague, and 1,000 desperate maladies been eased? Yet thou art still but Faustus, and a man. Couldst thou make men to live eternally, or, being dead, raise them to life again? Then this profession would be esteemed. Physic, farewell. Where is Justinian? Si una iamque res legator duobus alter rem, alter valorem re, etc. A pretty case of paltry legacies. Ex hereditari filium non potest pater nisi, etc. Such is the subject of the Institute and a universal body of the law. This study fits a mercenary drudge who aims at nothing but external trash, too servile and too illiberal for me. When all is done, divinity is best. Jerome's Bible, Faustus, view it well. Stipendium peccati mors est. Ha! Stipendium, etc. The reward of sin is death. That's hard. Si peccasi negimus falliamur et nulla et in nobis veritas. If we say we have no sin, we deceive ourselves, and there's no truth in us. Why then? Belike we must sin, and so, consequently, die. Aye, we must die an everlasting death. What doctrine call you this? Que sera, sera. What will be, shall be. Divinity? Adieu. These metaphysics of magicians and necromantic books are heavenly. Lines, circles, scenes, letters, and characters, these are those that Faustus most desires. Oh, what a world of profit and delight, of power, of honor, of omnipotence, is promised to the studious artisan. All things that move between the quiet poles shall be at my command. Emperors and kings are but obeyed in their several provinces, nor can they raise the wind or rend the clouds. But his dominion that exceeds in this stretcheth as far as doth the mind of man. A sound magician is a mighty god. Here, Faustus, tire thy brains to gain a deity.
Once a fair and handsome seal lord lay his foot upon the sand, for to woo the fisher's daughter and to claim her marriage hand. I have come in from the ocean, I have come in from the sea, and I'll not go to the waves, love, lest ye come along with me. Lord, long have I loved you as a selkie on the foam. I would gladly go and wed thee and be lady of your home, but I cannot go into the ocean, I cannot go into the sea. I would drown beneath your waves, love, if I went along with thee. Lady, long have I loved you, I would have you for my wife. I shall stay upon the shoreland, though it robs me of my life. I'll never go back to the ocean, never go back to the sea. I will stay and be thy husband, though it be the death of me. Lord, I cannot go and wed thee, all to watch my lover die, and since I'll not be left a widow, I have a plan for us to try. Let us speak with my grandmother, who's ever dwelt beside the sea. She may know some trick or treasure, that I might wed my fair Selkie. So they've gone to her grandmother's little cottage by the sea, to inquire how the maiden can be wed to her Selkie. For the seal lord's watery kingdom would surely rob her of her breath, but to stay on land past midnight would surely be his death. Lord, I know not how to aid ye, ye may never live on shore, for your kind to live past dawning has ne'er been seen before. But me mother had a seal coat that she buried neath the tree, for she told me any wearer would become a fair Selkie. So they've journeyed farther inland, though the seal lord's getting weak, and she's shouldering a shovel to dig up the thing they seek. And at the rising of the full moon, underneath the elfin oak, she's dug that very treasure of which her grandmother spoke. And just before the stroke of midnight, they have made it back to sea, and she's donned that magic seal coat and become a fair Selkie. Now they've gone into the ocean, hand in hand into the sea. She has gone along, a fair seal bride for her Selkie.
For the honour of Lockhart, I, Baron Hrolf Hurjolfsson, Admiral of the Southern Oceans, have the privilege of presenting these poems of my own original writing. I acknowledge and pay respect to the Tasmanian Aboriginal community as the traditional and original owners and continuing custodians of this land that I am working from. My first poem is a rhyme royal. It's a form that 3 of the Canterbury Tales were written in, and also much favoured by Chaucer in his other works, among others. One day as sun was set I walked in the park, so lost in thought I wandered where'er my feet went. Rambling a lost then, to my steps I did not pay remark, until I chanced upon a knight his armour grievous rent. Full sore he looked, ragged and thin, all with famishment. His horse, once noble, looked as world weary as did he. He lay full asleep, full armed, his helmet by his knee. Wondered I if wake him up I most rightly should, take him to my lady's keep and tender care, away both far and safe from this air-darkling woods. Feed his horse and his bent armoured form repair. Askance he lay beside his shield, it was blazoned there. As charge it bore a cup, all brightly coloured gold. His hair and beard were long like many a hermit old. I moved on forward his tired slumber for to break, did touch his mailed arm once lightly only there, but soft and light he slept and sprang he full awake. Jumped up, clapped hand to sword, eyes darting everywhere, he looked surprised at having been taken unaware. His horse his guard like also, in weary trance had slept, no watch for arm to other, had each other kept. He looked at me dressed for the court, not for open war. Visage it did lighten and grip on sword it eased. Relaxed his face it showed a man most heart sore. I spoke to him most gentle, his worry not appeased. A spasm it did rack him, and pain his face it seized. Come, worthy knight, now hither, comfort lies quite near. But these did not seem to be the words that he could bear to hear. I cannot come and rest with you, he said in tones so deep, for deeply have I cursed myself by most sacred vows, and while I long to follow you, these I must keep, for weary though these bones may be, full rest I disallow. I've quested on for far too long to be forsworn it now. Though old I look, I do be much older than I seem. When I set out upon this quest, Guinevere was queen. My armour fine has rust away, replaced by those I meet. My fine horse likewise must be the 20th good steed to give me aid and succour along the path of my great defeat. Since I set out upon this quest to answer kingdom's need, in arrogance I thought that I would be able to succeed where Arthur and more noted knights than I had failed. I set forth on a holy quest, made vows now oft bewailed. My shield it shows the Holy Grail, object of my search, a field of fleur, as flayed I am by my own sworn word, and onward, ever onward, my unsteady feet must lurch. I had me once a beauteous wife, unkindly fate I spurned, abandoned her, abandoned barns, badly I have erred. Not only them, but children's child, no issue do I know. I'm lost to all because of my braggadocio. How can this be? In wonderment to him I cried. These things of which you speak are past a long, long time. Bitter then he looked at me. Perchance you think I lied? I'll tell you then how it came to be. I've lived well past my prime, but e'en to me this story lacks all reason and all rhyme. For I was born when Rome's strong force still controlled these shores. I saw the rise of the man that Albion now adores. When others took their solemn vows to find the holy chalice, additional vows I took beside to add lustre to my name, so that I might get a chosen seat at the table in the palace, so that all the bards and minstrels should my fame acclaim. For simply trying to find the Grail it seemed to me too tame. I solemn swore that no healing rest would I take or seek, nor look again on kith and kin or my loved lady meek. I vowed that not e'en mighty death would halt my search, and that I would be damned if I my quest forsook. Thus vainly did I seek my fame to so exalt. My wife now crying bitter tears I heard a nunnery betook. I know not to my children what fate has overtook. Whilst this loudly in chapel I did rashly swear, not just Arthur's subjects were listening to me there. The Lord above did hear my vow, and did, in bitter jest, determine that I cursed should be to fill it to the letter. I cannot rest, I cannot die, till I complete this quest. For my pride my oaths become a shackle and a fetter. If any soul could give release, I'd be their eternal debtor. I would that I a priest could find, for to confess my sin, I no longer seeketh I to be thought a great paladin. I would that I could lie me down and take sleep and rest, perhaps to seek out those whom from my loins do descend. Oh, what a boon 'twould be to be of my sins divest. Truly in this I can help, and God's grace to you extend. For as it hap I am a priest, on this you can depend. From monastery I wandered, my thoughts on Blessed Mary, in state of grace and with God's will I found you solitary. The Lord has heard your cry and your repentance true. No further penance than what God said, this I cannot vary. I absolve your sin, but of what comes nothing can I do. Bless you, Father, he said to me, but go, tell you my story. I give release for you to tell this tale admonitory. Now renewed my questing life most joyful I pursue, with purer heart, who knows what can now ensue. With these honest words he bowed deep to me, donned his helm and climbed up to his gaunt steed, and moved away to seek in forest's wild immensity. But lo, a marvellous sight, a miracle indeed! Not far off a glowing light bade him to proceed. My own 2 feet were as rooted in the forest floor. As he rode off, a shrine appeared with an open door, and standing silent at the door was a lady fair, wearing the dull black habit of a cloistered sister. I knew it was his long-lost wife, and not just some estrange, and beside a man in garb of the Plantagenista, while behind a gladsome sight, a most holy vista. I saw there was the Holy Grail, the object of his search. He moved within, the others too, all within the church. The doorway closed behind them, and the vision faded. Though it's all gone for now, I do most blessed be, for all my life by this sight my faith will be aided. But listen those who make promise bold with impiety. To this tale I tell, and take it as a pastoral homily, that when perchance an oath you do deeply swear, speak only with true heart, or from that oath forbear. My second poem's the Sestina. The form was invented by Arnaud Daniel, a Provençal troubadour at the end of the 13th century. It involves a very set and elaborate usage of the same end words. In the short last stanza they occur in the middle as well. There's no attempt made to rhyme. The form has given rise to a whole branch of combinatorial math, something that delights me as a mathematician. When we fight, we come to homage, honour, for it is its own reward most pure. Being best is not the only winning. Courtesy and chivalry are what we most adore. We do fight for the honour of our fair consort, the lord or lady whom we do most admire. We choose to copy that which we do admire. To our victors we give very great honour. With those who have no honour we do not consort. Our own ideals we seek to keep so pure. But if these ideas are what we so adore, then why is so much emphasis placed on winning? Each list has only one who can be winning, but many more than this we can admire. If all are true, then all we can adore, for each list must have enough to do it honour. Not just alone in skill or fighting pure, all now can give victory to their consort. Thus it does fall upon each chosen consort, rather than praise only the title winning, to emphasise the ideals both high and pure, to voice their thought on what they do admire, ne'er placing mere victory before honour, showing that 'tis the dream they do adore. When thus we have an ideal that we adore, when we choose those with whom to consort, when we place nothing else beyond honour, when we believe chivalry is better than winning, when our heroes truly we can admire, when their deeds in battle are so pure, then we will know that what we have is pure, then any chosen leader we can adore, then we will all fighters so admire, then we truly will honour our own consort, then will no one need to know who's winning, then our tourneys will be steeped in honour. So hold your honour and your record pure. Forget 'tis winning that you do adore. Salute your consort, give them plenty to admire. Thus ends my poems, recorded here in our home in Innisfore in one take, witnessed by Mistress Madeline de Begonia. I thank you all for your attention.
Cavadia, greetings. I'm so thankful that you're here. Welcome to my home. There's no safer place for you to be than here in Iceland. Our shores are protected by the Guardians. You aren't familiar with the Guardians of Iceland? Well, all I can say is don't bring them up to the Danes. They're a bit of a sore subject. You see, the king, Harold Bluetooth, sent his wizard to our shores to scope out the best spot for an invasion. The wizard, being a dutiful servant, transformed himself into a whale and swam to the northern part of our shore, where, when he reached it, transformed himself back into a man and decided that this was indeed the best spot for an invasion. And he looked up and saw, coming across the horizon, a large bird. It was getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and as it came, it flew faster and faster at him and dove at him. It was the largest eagle that he had ever seen in its life, with claws outstretched. It reached for him. He dove back into the water, transforming himself into a whale, but not before a feather from the eagle stuck into his cloak. The wizard swam around to the western side of the island, where he looked above the horizon and, seeing nothing, decided that this must be a safer place. And he transformed himself back into a man and strode forward, noting the mountain that was moving in front of him. It was rising. It was growing. It was standing up, and it held in its hand the largest staff of iron he had ever seen, and it reached a meaty hand out towards him to snatch him up. But the wizard, shrinking back, transformed himself back into a whale and dove back into the water, but not before a hangnail from the giant's finger caught in his cloak and pulled away. Well, the wizard swam to the southern end of our island, where he cautiously peeked out. He looked above at the horizon. There was nothing. He looked at the mountains and waited. They did not move. He transformed himself back into a man and strode towards the shores. At least he tried. His cloak was caught on something. It was caught on the largest bull he had ever seen, a massive bull with massive horns, and it rose its giant hoof up to pound him into the surf. When he shrank back and transformed himself suddenly back into a whale, but not before a hair from the bull caught itself upon his cloak. The north, the west, the south, where was there left for our wizard to check for invasion spots but the east? With a sigh, he went to the eastern shore. He looked above at the horizon. There was nothing. He looked along the mountains. They were still and did not move. He looked to the left and to the right. There was nothing there. He transformed himself back into a man and cautiously stepped forward. Something was burning. It was him. He was burning. His cloak was on fire, and he began to pat out his cloak, his cloak. And as he looked up, he saw the largest dragon that he had ever seen in his life. And it was reaching back, drawing back breath to breathe a fireball at him so large it would have consumed him, and reaching out its massive claws at him. He screamed and jumped back into the water. transforming himself once again into a whale, but not before a scale from the dragon fell and landed upon his cloak. He swam all the way back to Denmark non-stop, and when he reached the other side, wet and shivering, he plucked from his cloak the feather, the hair, the scale, and the fingernail clipping, and walked into the king's court. He presented these items to Harold and said, "Good my lord, I love thee, but there is no way you will be invading Iceland, and here is my proof." And dumping these large items at the foot of the throne, he turned around and left the king's service. But we have also come to learn that while the guardians do indeed have our shores covered, it is not to them alone to which we are beholden. We have our own duty. And so I would tell you a story in song that my mother told me. Stood a lass on the cliff's edge, the great fleet she beheld. At her side stands her mother, and to her she tells, "Worry not of these invaders, my daughter, you'll see, for the guardians of Iceland stand watch over thee." To the west stands a giant, made of mountain and hill, with a staff formed of iron, he unshakable still, stands tall along the coastline for invaders to see. Proud guardian of Iceland stands watch over thee. To the south roams a great bull of immense strength and size. He walks through the waters, anger filling his eyes. At any who would dare to disturb our land's peace, proud guardian of Iceland stands watch over thee. To the north a great eagle guards us from the skies, ever watching and swooping at our enemy flies. She commands the air around her, and all enemies cease. Proud guardian of Iceland stands watch over thee. But my mother, we live here, our home is the east. What can there be left to turn back our enemies? You see that they are many. Can we claim victory? Lest we have another guardian keeping watch over these. Listen closely, my daughter, for here in the east stands tall a proud dragon, this magnificent beast. With fire and with claws, eyes always to the sea. Proud guardian of Iceland stands watch over thee. Into one hand a mother spear fits a sword sharp and bright. To the other a shield fits, she's now ready to fight. With her own spear and shield, she stands ready anew, saying, Guardians of Iceland, we now shall be two. With her own spear and shield, she stands ready anew, saying, Guardians of Iceland, we now shall be two. Again, greetings, Cavalia. I am Neshka Orshanea of Atlantia, and you are always welcome in my home.
Greetings. My name is Teutlite Tochka Quickhat Delmar, but you may call me Lord Tenoch for short. As you can tell by my name, I have something of a complicated identity. You see, I am the product of two worlds, what you may refer to as the Old World and the New World, España and the Mexica. Because of this, I've never really known where I belong. In my father's tongue, one might say, no soy de aquí, ni soy de allá. I am from neither here nor there. But having spent some time here, and having gotten to know the people and customs of this place, I feel a little differently about that now. And perhaps I do know where I belong now. And so I'd like to share some words in my mother's tongue to express my feelings. Me kintin ompa ononowiikak in tlatlatin weka in wei atin akan nochan. San in yet waantsitsin au nechtal quantia nechtal titia nechnemitia niman ik nikmati in nochan cinco ne wat nikta sotla in nochan cinco anste ora. I have traveled to many distant lands and many vast waters. Nowhere am I in my own home. But these great people give me food, they give me water, they give me life and livelihood. Now I know where I am home. And I love my dear home. Anste ora. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Runa Gidya, and I'm a member of the barony of Triviscathir in these glorious lands of Aidenvelt. Today I'm going to be performing a piece I specifically wrote for 50 Year. There was so much amazing inspiration to be pulled from all the different themes presented, and I was pulled a little every which way, which I think will become apparent in this particular piece. But I did eventually settle on like a fighter rally cry, something that could be read before a big battle at Estrella to inspire all of us and remind us all why we're here. I did use Morgan's name in this. He was my first crown, him and Her Majesty, and it means a lot that they're our current crown, but I do think this piece could be adapted for any crown, which I'm excited to do as the years go on. And before I begin, I just want to say thank you all so much for judging this competition. It is such a wonderful part of the 50-year celebration, and I and all the other bards I know really appreciate the time you've taken to do this. But I do hope you enjoy. How bright and brazen seems the sun while shining on the battlefield, when Aiden's knights, belted and chained, reflect her golden glowing yield. Her gloried face surveys the scene, the welcomed army did excite, and all of Aiden's gilded lands now bask in ariat delight. The good King Morgan lifts his sword, and to the battle turns his gaze. A self-crowned king will bow to none, all foes will fall to Aiden's blaze. A kingdom born of people's will, a legion rushed to meet her call. Artists, servants, fighters, and friends, and Aidenvelt welcomed them all. To the known world her name was spread, a kingdom built of solar right, till many lands were from her birth, emboldened by her solar might. And thus her people's passions grew, fostered in Aiden's proud embrace, a kingdom known to all the world for boundless chivalry and grace. And even in the darkest hours of plague, controversy, and fear, Aidenvelt stood forever strong. Aidenvelt will always be here. So you fiends who breached our walls to meet us on this field of stars, Aidenvelt runs not from a fight, we have earned our many scars. Under the watch of our proud crown, a lesson all our foes will learn. A civil kingdom still has teeth, the gentlest sun still can burn. Nothing will take us from these lands, as long as we have breath in us. We stake our lives on gilded soil. Oh, Aidenvelt is glorious. Who needs ambrosia of the gods? We drink our fill of golden sun. It matters not where we are from, for all of Aidenvelt is one.
Guide, 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 guide. There's battle breaking out across the land. Guide, 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 guide. I'm begging of you, help me make a stand. You've heard there is a Bardic War, a war they've never had before. Those drums are getting closer now, Kaid. The conflict's growing day by day. This war of words won't go away. We're gonna have to represent Kaid. Kaid, 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 Kaid. There's battle breaking out across the land. Guide, 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 guide. I'm begging of you, help me make a stand. Come heralds, pun with all your might. Come scribes, all scribing day and night. We'll bring our best to represent Kaid. We'll brawl and shoot and sing and fight. We'll tell our stories day and night. We'll give the best we have for fair Kaid. Kaid, 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 Kaid. There's battle breaking out across the land. Kaid, 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 Kaid. I'm begging of you, help me make a stand. Kaid, Kaid, Kaid. There's battle breaking out across the land. Kaid, 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 Kaid. I'm begging